Slap, slap, slap. Clap, clap, clap.
All right.
We good? Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah, we're so good.
Yep. What's up with the weird German developmentally disabled kid on that show?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Jimmy Neutron?
I don't. Wait, is that the guy who did the clap?
Yeah, who did the slap, 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 clap, clap, clap thing? He he had oh, you good kind of voice, but his eyes were bug-eyed and he was fat and he would constantly talk about schnitzel.
Yeah.
It's that's a weird stereotype that has sort of survived time, is the yokel German stereotype, the fat yokel German. We actually talked about this a couple of episodes ago, I think, and Sammy mentioned it to me over message. But yeah,
Do you think it's just everyone? It's like a French thing where you're allowed to just make fun of French people and Germans just because everyone kind of hates them.
Yeah, I think that might be it. I think also it's a good way to make them non-threatening.
Yeah. If you look at them as a fat guy who goes, go.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It's hard to imagine someone in a lederhosen, doing Nazism.
Yeah.
But which is funny
World
because Hitler was an Austrian. We forget this sometimes.
That's true.
So lederhosen it up.
In the national sense, not the economic sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure him and Mises had some
Just
pretty
so we're
strong
clear.
disagreements.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Probably.
Yeah. What's you been up to today, Josh?
Working.
Working?
Yes. Yep. I got a text from Shad, and he was like, "Okay, so I'm free whenever, and Silas is available afternoon." I was like, "Well, I have a 9 to 5, so I'll be over there about after dinner sometime."
Yeah, he has a real job, unlike everybody else in this entire town.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cringe.
Yeah. I just
Goes off
work.
the vibe.
I just kind
It's
of
not
work.
based.
I work whenever I want, which is all the time. That's actually what it turns into. People don't talk about this, but when you work from home, it just means that you just work constantly.
Yeah, tell us the struggle, Shad.
Yeah.
Having to make your own schedule.
Well, I don't know. Going
waking
from
up-
talking about Hitler to saying struggle, I think you're going in the
My
wrong direction.
struggle,
Let's talk about my struggle for a
Did you hear
second.
about- Did you hear about that?
You can have your mic a little closer to your face if that's
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to misquote it because
Yeah.
I don't know who the rapper is legitimately, but a person made an autobiography. I believe it was Lil Baby, and he had it titled "My Struggle."
Oh,
and
really?
everyone was
Oh,
like,
no.
"Buddy, you don't. That's not. We don't go there."
Well,
with
so
that.
there's a famous Scandinavian guy who wrote a series at an autobiographical trilogy titled My Struggle. But it was supposed to kind of be a commentary on Mein Kampf and sort of a thing. It's mostly just him just being like, in the deep woods of Sweden, I had a lot of sexual thoughts. And you're like, gosh, dude. I once
That's
saw
a struggle.
I know. I once saw a guy give a lecture on that at a house party.
That's the most Hillsdale.
Everybody,
alumni.
yeah. We were,
Still house parties are a little wet.
no, it was a DC. We did this
That's even
thing
worse.
at this house. Actually, the house I lived in with Chris McCaffrey, where we would, for a brief period of time. So every week there's a party there on Thursday nights. It's like a dinner party.
Boys' night?
No,
Is that boy? No.
no.
Boys' night's
no,
a different thing.
Boys' night is long abolished.
Oh.
None of those guys listen to the show anyway, so I can say that.
Okay.
Death to boys' night.
Okay.
Damn.
I just heard about it. at
Yeah,
event,
but
so.
no, Thursday night dinner is still a ongoing thing. But anyway, for a brief period, we had this thing where every week someone would give up and give a short speech, which sounds lame, but it was actually really cool.
Kind of pretentious, also.
No, it's
sounds
not
cool.
because it would be about stuff like, somebody gave one about leaving New York, even though they'd never been to New York. Because everybody was writing those articles during the pandemic, why they're leaving New York.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is why I'm leaving New York.
That sounds like a Nick Rowan thing, was it?
Yeah,
Nick Rowan?
no, it wasn't.
Okay.
It's a very different guy. Chris gave one about how annoying it was. His refrigerator was too small and European, and he didn't feel really American.
What was your best one?
I gave one about how bad writers are good writers, and then I gave one about the pipeline from watching or playing Sonic the Hedgehog to turning into a school shooter.
Oh.
It was it was as you can imagine, the intellectual
time,
life
yeah.
of DC right now was alive.
Yeah.
It was alive back then.
Is it literally just the smartest minds in all of DC, or just video essays? On
There was
YouTube?
I think there was probably the whole point actually was to be kind of video essay.
Yeah.
We were you were just supposed to just give an expository speech with 2 brain cells and we'll have a good time. And everybody of course was in the pocket and just having a good time. So no, nothing wrong with that. And that's basically just podcasting.
Yeah, sure enough.
It's basically just podcasting. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of podcasting, on Monomaniacs this week, Silas Strehle,
Yep. Yes, sir.
Joshua Liebhauser.
Hello.
Dylan is at the land of our birth as we speak. He is in the PNW, as we're officially going to be calling it from now on because of that last episode about that. And he is living up, based on what I've heard, I mean, I'm sure he's being supplied with a direct IV of Chinese food and
Sushi
alcohol.
and
I heard sushi. I heard the beach.
Yes.
Neither of which we have here.
No.
Yes.
I mean, really?
Well, I mean,
No,
there is sushi at Johnny
give me-
T's.
and
You
there-
can go
there
to
is
sushi at Johnny T's.
There is a patch of sand that you can put your toes in if you're
Yeah,
so inclined.
actually, Vince Kenyatte, the guy who was on the show, did you watch that episode?
No, I
Dude,
Silas?
good
Vince-
episode.
It's a great episode. You should watch it.
Lot
But
of
he's
sushi.
a sushi chef,
Yeah.
and we're kind of getting together with some people to like finance him going up to Ann Arbor and buying a bunch of fresh fish, coming down and doing like a
Dude,
dinner.
That'd be nice.
So
I'd pitch in.
yeah.
Cut me in on that for sure.
Josh, are you much of a sushi guy? You don't strike me as a sushi guy.
I love sushi.
Oh, really? Well, tell me some of your favorite sushis.
I like the kind with the raw fish. I like the kind without the raw fish. I like the
Okay.
kind- obviously, like a crunchy roll, California roll.
Yep.
I don't like stuff that doesn't have fish in it.
Okay.
So I'm
is that an option?
I'm
Can
not-
you get like
just
stuff?
like veggie rolls and stuff?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like those. But yeah, so I would not say after hearing
As a lifelong like guy from Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan,
Yeah.
I could just it's hard for me to imagine you having much of a taste for it.
Stop,
I won't say I have a palate for it.
It's not sushi.
I will say whenever I travel, I go out of my way to order it.
Okay, yeah.
So
if you're in DC or Washington
Yeah,
or something
don't
like that.
even don't even get me started. I've had this stinking argument with tens of people in Hillsdale.
Yeah.
there are dozens of us.
Yeah, exactly. No, because everyone's like, yeah, no, dude, I'm really into sushi. And it's like,
Yeah.
have you ever left Ohio? And they're like, no. And it's like, what? He's like, no, Dom.
Yeah.
He's like, no, Cincinnati sushi, man. Cincinnati
Yeah,
sushi's
yeah.
next level. And I'm like, you're so far away from any ocean.
It's like next to the Kentucky level of sushi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, no, so but Kentucky though is basically coastal equivalent to Cincinnati.
No, Cincinnati's
I mean-
right on Kentucky, buddy. It's like
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
on the border.
Yeah, you're right.
and
I always forget where Kentucky is.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
It's
is, I'm
closer
sorry.
than you
I'm
think.
sorry, Sammy. Speaking of Kentucky.
Dude, we're
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
That's
We're-
right. We are Kentucky in our blood. We're
And-
Kentucky, Ohio,
Yeah.
and Nebraska. But the funny thing, like every time I eat sushi in one of the three, the Devil's Triangle. When I eat sushi in God's country, or God's mistake,
country.
as far as Ohio is concerned.
Yeah.
When I'm eating sushi and it has salmon on it, I'm sitting there like, there is not salmon
No.
within 500, 600,
No.
700, 800 miles of where I am
it's
right now.
not
Like,
okay.
how the hell is this on my plate right now? But at the same time, there's nothing like a large quantity of rice. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, like you're still getting all the flavors, you're still enjoying it. You know,
Dunk some rice and some soy sauce.
Yeah, and
then
you can
got
get-
sushi, right?
or like even when they're like albacore tuna or bluefin, and you're like, where, what? This is off the coast of Hawaii? Like, how did this get here?
I've told this story. I think Shad has heard this before, but I had this friend who is from Colorado, right? And
Mm-hmm.
where he is in Colorado, it's like right next to Denver-ish. And we got to Michigan, and we're at the food court at Hillsdale, and of course it's the worst stinking fish you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And, but he made the comment of, "I will not eat fish from Michigan. It's just too far away. It's not coast enough," right?
Yeah.
And then I pulled up Google Maps, and I was like, "Buddy, we are a whole lot closer to an ocean right now
Than Colorado." That's true.
fantastic.
That's true. Colorado kind of gets away with like
They have
little West Coast.
Yeah,
West
no,
Coast
we're
cred.
Coast.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not at all.
There's like two mountain ranges
Yeah.
in between you and
Yeah,
the West
no.
Coast.
There's a lot of West Coast immigrants there, so that's why.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense. They wear a lot of Patagonia.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah.
sense.
Like Arizona.
Drive a lot of Tacomas.
Arizona
Yeah.
is more coastal than Colorado.
That's true. The closer to the Gulf of Mexico, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or not the Gulf of Mexico, whatever's on the other side of the Gulf of Mexico.
Pacific
The
Ocean.
Pacific Ocean.
Come
The
on,
Mexican
PNW.
coast.
PNW, buddy. Come
Yeah,
on.
PNW.
It's been
You gotta wrap
geography with
it.
Yeah,
Monomaniacs.
the geography of Monomaniacs. It's like one of my greatest Achilles heels as a historian was always geography. But, I memorized all 50 states at one point.
Hey.
Oh, dude. I remember in 8th grade,
Yeah.
I thought there was 51 because Michigan is so annoying with it, and they're like, "No, we're just gonna split into two. We're gonna be all quirky with it." And then I was like, "Wait, no,
Well, did you come up with some sort of fake name for the Upper Peninsula?
no,
What did
I
you
think
call it?
it's just the Upper Peninsula.
Yeah.
no." I was like, "Mr. Smith, this does not add up." I counted,
I've been doing math all night.
and something's wrong
So
here.
you're just sweating, calculations just floating in your head like a beautiful mind. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's pretty fun. It's the UP though. It is basically a separate state, or
Canada.
Culturally,
or it's like Wisconsin or
We're in the
Minnesota.
UP, eh?
Yeah, yeah. That's actually something that Michigan does have though quite a bit of fish wise. That'd be worth eating. It's like like walleye.
Oh, yeah.
like something
Yeah.
that's local.
Yeah.
But
Loads of it.
that's
Trout,
not the sort of
walleye
thing. Yeah, that's
type,
not the
yeah.
sort of thing that you're getting at
Sushi.
Sushi.
No,
it's saga.
Yeah, imagine if you catch a trout and then just thinking fillet that bitty and pop it in your mouth. No, no.
That's true. That's true. Well, and also like the problem with like freshwater stuff is that like parasites and stuff in there, and so it's a little rough. But I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just bias from the watering hole that we fish on when we're back in Washington State.
It gets rough. Second that it gets like
Yeah,
80,
they've got like ticks the size of quarters on those things. It's pretty disgusting.
as soon as it
but-
breaks like 85 degrees one day,
Yeah.
automatically all the fish are just diseased.
They turn
and
into-
terrible.
Bubonic plague victims.
Did I tell you about when Caden and I caught a fish
No.
over there? So my friends wanted to fish up at the lake, so we went out and we fished for like an hour, and we only caught one fish. Right,
Yeah.
we caught one trout.
And who was the one who nailed it?
Me,
Of
of course,
course.
of course. And it's not hard to catch fish on this lake. It's
Yeah.
insanely easy, actually. But we only got one, and then I pulled it into the boat. And if you fish with people who don't fish, it's a horrible experience.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, get the net, and they're like, no, screw that, like I'm not gonna get near a fish, So I have to like, I'm like, I literally brought you fish. You're the one who asked.
That is the weird thing about it too, is that people who've never touched a fish before are under the impression it's gonna hurt or kill them.
Yeah. I'm kind of bad with it. I don't like
Yeah.
shoving my hand in there either. I don't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the whole mouth thing. Anyway, I got it in the boat using like both hands in the net and all
Yeah.
this stuff. Got it down, and then Caden goes, "So, right, we're gonna eat this." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Totally, right. We gotta be men. We gotta eat what we catch." And I was
Yeah,
"Sure, buddy."
So what you guys
So just
cooked
wait,
it?
just
Okay.
wait. So I bring it in and I set it next to him where he's sitting, and I was like, "Here's the problem: we don't have a mallet with us, right? So I'm gonna have to go in and somehow kill this thing, and I'm not sure how." So when someone told me, I forget who it was, later on when I was telling the story, I think I was telling it to Ryan, our cousin. He was like, "Just like grab it and hit it on the side of the boat." I'm like,
yeah. Yeah.
that's a smart decision. No, the big old oar that in case of emergencies oar is
Yeah.
standing right there. So I
How big was it? How big was the fish?
It was a decent trout. I don't know, like
Okay.
20, 22
Okay,
inches.
okay.
I set it down on
It was
the
a
floor.
decent trout. I don't know, like 6-7 inches.
Yeah. No, so I lifted up, and instead of doing this a good way, I like down chop, right? So the first time I go, it just barely nicks the side of its head, barely. And it's just flipping all over the place, just freaking out, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh crap. So I lift it up and go really fast the second time. Hit it smack dab. Its eyeball smacks on Caden's leg. 'cause I hit it so hard. And literally, you can hear the boy scream. Every
Yeah.
house on the freaking lake can hear the guy scream. It was great.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, we cooked it. We brought it back, and then of course they're all scared of fish. So
Yeah.
then I cut it open.
Yeah, you gutted
and
it,
I
trimmed it,
Yep, and we cooked it.
descaled it. That
How'd
sort
you
of
make
thing.
it?
Yep, just over the fire, man. We
Just
had to
like-
be men.
Just
We had
like
to be men.
roasted it.
Yep.
Wow.
Put any like
Which I
spices
can
or salt on
imagine
it.
that would add a little bit of flavor. a
Yeah,
little bit.
It's like a smoked trout, but
That's a thing.
Sort of. Trout is not even a very good fish.
No.
No, it's not a
Not
good
at all.
fish as far as food is concerned. I've had it before for the same reason where I bullied my grandpa into bringing some home because we'd caught it or I'd caught it.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, we got to do this. I remember the first time catching a fish and realizing that the clubbing was a portion of the whole enterprise where you're like,
Oh crap! I actually have to
yeah,
kill it.
Dad's like, all right, here I go.
Yeah.
Beat the crap out of
You're
it.
like, ah.
Oh, jeez. It's kind of terrifying, especially for someone with a lily white disposition, like I'm sure all your friends.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they've never killed before.
Definitely not. I don't know what you're talking about, man. Snohomish goes crazy at midnight.
Yeah.
No,
Wait, how would you even grab it though to smack it against the side of the boat?
you
Wouldn't
just
that
gotta
like
grip the boy, dude.
slide right out of your hands?
Yeah, you got grip strength, Shadrach. You gotta
It's not about grip strength.
yes, it is.
That's about just ergonomics. Those things are slimy.
It doesn't matter if you grab hard enough. It's
think-
simple. It's simple.
I think there's only one way to figure this out.
Yeah, I think
I'm
you
gonna
gotta
run to
get a fish.
Kroger,
Yes,
see
I
if they
agree.
have any whole fish. You guys can throw it around. and
So
see
you
what
gotta
happens.
like throw it in a river for a couple of hours.
Let it swim around.
Let it swim around.
No,
They got the mucus on them too.
yeah, it's true.
You're getting picked up.
Yeah. Okay.
When I was with Ryan though, just the other, did I tell you about this one when we went fishing. We caught a bass and we had like a really big one.
Yeah.
But we talked beforehand. And we're like, we've never had bass before. We're just gonna try it. It was
Yeah.
a smallmouth up in wherever they live. But this is bad because they had the only way you can do bass is you have to fillet it, and neither of
Yeah.
us have ever filleted before. So then we just went and we just butchered this thing.
I can
right?
imagine.
Just like little hunks. It was like
Yeah.
basically like
Just
five.
like slice some pieces off like
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
Thanksgiving
yeah.
turkey.
yeah, exactly. It was like 5 chicken nuggets worth.
Did
of
you
this
bread and
bass.
fry it? I feel like
Yes.
you'd have to
Yeah.
bread and fry
so
it at
what
that
we
point.
did is he looked at his pantry and there was Cajun dressing for
Yes.
chicken fry.
Yeah.
And
There you
we're
go.
like, okay, why not? So
That
we
sounds
did that.
great, actually.
Yeah.
Hear me out. We did it. Also, I was an idiot and I didn't see the oil bubbling, and I was like, "Is this even hot?" And I dunked my finger in the freaking. The guy's a firefighter, also. By
Yeah.
the way. So he was. Not
What kind
too
of a burn
stoked.
did you get on that?
It did not feel good. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Well,
Good thing you got it out quick because.
yeah, it was a quick. But he was like, "Dude, you were the biggest idiot ever."
Yeah. No. Seriously.
Anyway, we made it, and then we ate the chicken nuggets,
yeah.
and we stood up, and not 5 minutes afterwards, the amount of sodium that is in Cajun dressing and Cajun battering is so bad. We chugged water for like 40 minutes
Yeah.
straight. It was like 500 milligrams of sodium within
What?
each serving. It was
So then what are you
insane.
supposed to do with it?
It was just salt. It was basically just like, I don't know. It tasted
You
good.
probably what
Did
you
you apply
probably
it
did.
like too thick?
I
Like,
think
too
what you probably were
concentrated?
supposed to do was like thin it down with flour.
Yeah.
But I assume you just.
Oh no! It was
Yeah.
just egg and then the stuff.
Yeah.
It tasted good.
Just like
but-
licking a salt lick.
Yeah, but
That's like at that
Yeah.
party in college where they mixed vodka and Kool-Aid, but it's just a Kool-Aid mix.
Yeah.
So there's no water
Water.
involved.
You're actually thinking about the party where I met my wife.
Yes, I am.
That is that
wow.
party.
Yep.
Oh wow!
And that's not what it was. It was it wasn't Kool-Aid. It was light beer, vodka, and
Oh, there's some beer in there too.
yeah, I didn't drink
good.
this, by the way, for
Okay.
anybody who's in the
If you
audience
did,
right
you
now.
would not be married today.
Yes,
Yeah.
probably. But they put pink lemonade concentrate, like the
That's what-
frozen stuff in.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what they used for the liquid to run it down was vodka and beer. Just like Keystone Light or something. Just
I
like
see zero issues.
yeah,
with this.
yeah.
It's
And
Brutal.
everybody there just lost their minds. And it was like punk party. And what that really actually meant was like early 2000 pop punk party. And so people were, screaming the lyrics to Simple Plan songs, and just very few people remember that night. I remember that night. I met my
Nice.
wife.
Nice.
Does Becca remember that night?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
She wasn't. She wasn't partaking in the.
No, no.
Lemonade.
I mean, like it was in a, it was like one of those things where it was in a big old Tupperware box,
Mm.
with a trash bag lining. There's nothing about that has ever attracted me. Jungle juice, man. It's never, ever, ever, ever worth it, unless it's definitely worth it.
That's definitely yeah.
Yeah, man. So, what's new with you, Silas? You're back in school.
Back in school, right when I showed up, Dylan was like, "I'm getting the hell out of here. Goodbye, Silas." So he left where I came from.
Yes, he knew. Well, he was actually waiting to go back to you.
Yeah.
For you to not be there.
Yeah, exactly.
So he didn't have to actually hang out with you in Washington.
Yeah,
So he
exactly.
could
He's
actually
like,
live it up.
Washington is decently enjoyable whenever Silas isn't there. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Slash, they needed a room to sleep in.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been, doing school.
Yeah.
Working out and listening to music, and that's
Yeah.
about
What's
it.
new? What's new on the music? What's new on the music radar? Silas is a younger version of me, though. Actually,
Oh no.
way more developed than I was. I merely just listened to the weird and obscure for a few years and made it my personality.
Yep.
But Silas, he's ahead.
I listen to the weird and obscure, and only talk to people about the slightly weird and obscure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that
Because
you
then
don't
it's like,
alienate them.
yeah,
Restraint.
and they're like, damn, you have really good music taste,
Yeah,
dude.
you're so
I kind of like
eclectic.
this.
Yeah.
But then also, they don't know I'm actually listening. That's how you have to do it.
Yeah.
It's like the meme of the guy in the corner of the room, like they don't know. They don't know I have worse music.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Have you ever like
They
sent
don't know I've listened to Elliott Smith before. And
Yeah.
it's like all these like frat boys. Yeah.
Have you ever just like because I had a certain situations where people would say like, oh yeah, like surprise me. I'd be
Yeah.
like,
Oh, buddy.
you
don't
really
want
want to do
You don't
that?
want to do this right now. Yeah.
You better buckle up.
Yeah.
But no, so in more generic music terms, I
Yeah.
mean generic music, hip hop right now, a guy named JID or Jid, he released an album, which
Mhm.
oh buddy, was it amazing? Was
Yeah.
it maybe album of the year?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Fantano. Everyone, Fantano listeners here.
Yeah.
Strong 9.
Wow.
Yeah, it
That's
was
album
crazy.
of the year territory.
Yeah, I think as of now it is.
Fantano
it is.
low key dropped off after he got divorced.
Buddy. Oh, that poor guy.
Yeah.
Literally, the guy gave like he just pissed off too many fan bases.
Yeah. Yeah.
He got his whole ass
Yeah.
personality leaked.
Yeah.
They got blamed for it.
Yeah. The best part about that is I remember when he revealed he was married and everybody was like, wow, he's actually married. And it's like wild. And then, too many people are too angry at him to where now the second that I think somebody like looked up court filings.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Yeah.
Poor
Do you know who this
kid.
guy is?
No,
Anthony
no,
Fantano?
I don't.
He's like
Melon.
Enlighten me.
he's like the number one music reviewer on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So he's
Yeah.
like this.
Okay.
I don't know. He's like a
Bald guy from Connecticut.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's
But-
got glasses. Everyone calls him Melon. He wears flannels.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
That's about it.
Yeah. That's all you really need to know. He made it big back when
when he had like bad music taste.
back when like Kendrick Lamar was
Yeah.
first getting big and stuff. He was
Yeah.
one of the first guys to be like
He gave My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy a 6, and then
Yes.
everyone got really pissed at him.
Yeah, I remember
That's
that.
That's what put him on the map, low key.
yeah. He angered a lot of people, but
So
he introduced a lot of people to death grips and baths and stuff and
Yeah, that's like a whole
whatnot.
personality trait within
Yeah.
like young music listeners. It's just like Death Grips is better than anything Kendrick Lamar will ever do ever.
Are kids like rediscovering death grips? Because like that was something we were all into in high school, and then
Yeah,
it became like a weird thing to be into it for all of my college years. People were like, "What? You still listen to death grips?"
You
And
know,
I'd be
it's
like,
more
"Oh,
so-
I'll, like blast ex-military every once in a while, whatever."
It's more so like if you're getting into music and it's like, oh, I kind of want to like find some weird stuff, you
Yeah.
know, and then it's like, okay, listen to Death Grips and 100 Gex, and then everyone's like, what? Music can do this, and that happens
Yeah,
every time.
I would say, I don't know, death grips, 100 gex probably.
Yes,
100 gex a little
yeah,
below death grips.
100%.
100 gex fun. I think it was a little flash in the panty.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're gonna be talking about 100 gex in 5 or 6 years.
Fun fact, I have them on vinyl. I
know.
have
I've,
that
I've
album.
seen that record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Which I'm sure, I don't know if you could probably fully appreciate that, the
No,
mix on that
no.
out of your speakers.
No.
But
So
Yeah.
as lowest common denominator, Josh,
yeah.
you guys.
So
inter-
Josh
introduced
is
me
like
to-
an unironic AJR listener.
that was for like a month in college. Although my wife likes it now, so it's still in my house. But
Yeah.
I have to wince. They do a
Yeah.
surprising amount of like crossovers with Weezer. Like I think they're friends with Weezer or something because they like
Makes sense.
remix each other's
White
songs
Boys
all the
Unite.
time. Yeah, it's
Hey,
it's
don't
rough.
talk.
It's rough.
Guff
Yeah.
on Weezer. Not original Weezer.
Yeah,
You can
'cause,
talk
I'm
Guff
just-
on the
yeah,
records
my-
that
modern
Josh
day.
likes, but
Oh, dude, I could. Weezer. But you guys introduced me as lowest common denominator Josh
Yeah.
to Chop Suey by System of a Down as a most
Yeah.
perfect song.
yeah.
So I introduced that to my son, who's 3. He now just refers to it as rock and roll.
yeah.
And so whenever we get in the car, it's I want to listen to rock and roll, and I'm
That's funny.
going nuts. So I tried then to get in to other System of a Down. Like I was like, okay, what else is there?
That album is, I think, a 10 out of 10.
I listened to it. That album. I don't know what I was expecting. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Chop Suey is a bit of a unicorn there.
No, so I was reading this article the other day about the top 50 best new metal albums.
Okay.
I entered a brief new metal era this weekend and listened to a bunch of new metal.
That sounds like a
and discovered that there's only one good new metal band, and that's Deftones. But well, actually, excuse me, System of a Down is great, and the first Limp Bizkit record and the first Slipknot record also pretty good. But regardless, it's a 3 unicorn thing. That record, and some people, I say it's a nearly perfect record. I say there's some of it that's not that great, but that Aerials and Toxicity, the 3 singles from that record are just perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. I think I listened to those because
and you hit bounce and you're like, what the heck am I listening to?
Well, I don't know what I hit because I was listening to the This Is playlist, and so I got through the first few. I was like, okay, cool, and then it kind of dropped off, and I was like, I think I'm out at this point.
Yeah.
That's my biggest flaw though, is old, just anything before 2000, right? Really.
Yeah.
Right. I just haven't.
Well, so that's just the nature, I think, of being young and liking music. So there's going to be a moment, Silas, you're going to realize when an album by an artist that you care about is going to come out, and you're not even going to want to listen to it. You're going to sit there and be like, that sounds like a lot of work.
So it almost happened. It almost happened with the Denzel Curry album that dropped this year. But instead it was a top 3 album of the year. So then, hey,
dodge a bullet right there.
Dodge a bullet. No, I asked my dad when I was going on this road trip what I should listen to, and he gave 10 by Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
So I listened to that all the whole way down to Emma and Ryan's house, and it was good. Yeah. It was really good.
Pearl Jam's great.
Yeah. I liked, but it I could tell my music taste seeping through. My favorite song was Black, and it's I can, it's more
because most of the music you like is written by black artists.
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. No, it's just, it's more melodic. It was slower than most of the Pearl Jam stuff. So I was like, oh, this is something I can get behind because I'm more messed with that.
Well, moving into any genre is sort of about that. Where there's always going to be 1 or 2 songs on a record that is considered great that you gravitate towards because A, it's more melodic, or maybe it's heavier if that's something that you're more into, and then you kind of
it has to acclimate.
You have to acclimate to it,
it's like
right?
Getting in the hot tub.
And I think that there's, for everybody, there are genres and stuff that trying to interact with, regardless of how much of a music IQ they might have, quote unquote, they just can't handle it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I have a hard time with mumble rap, I'll be honest with you. I'm like an old man in that respect.
Okay.
Lil Pump just dropped a new track, so
I hear it. I tend to bounce off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty mainstream as far as that goes. I'll be Post Malone.
Have you heard Thirsty by AJR? Because I don't know if
Thirsty?
Yeah, I don't know if you heard that song. And then
I think I've heard Thirsty.
Okay. It'll make it so you never want to listen to another AJR song in your entire life.
I'm not that hot on AJR. Let me be very clear.
We'll pull it up afterwards.
Yeah.
Dude, it is maybe the worst chorus. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Mumble rap has its place. That's what I'll say.
Not denying that.
So every genre sort of does.
Yeah, and that's something that I have to as pretentious music snobs that we are, we have to realize that don't demean someone else's thing because and I remember I had this is so pretentious music snob of me. But I remember I had this argument with my senior year of high school English teacher.
Yeah.
Where she was talking about how she was walking her son out of Target or something, right? And they heard someone blasting a delinquent with heavy metal playing.
Yeah.
And the son was like, how can anyone ever like that? And she's like, I know, right? It's terrible. And it's there's no artistic anything about it, right?
What? No.
And here's how I had to try and explain it to her. I was like, maybe, hear me out. Maybe you don't like it, but obviously there's a hierarchy of it, right? So there are people that can dissect it and be like, that is good and that is bad.
Yeah.
So that's how you know that it's not just
and then there's this whole extra level,
mindless.
I think, of all music actually can be ranked that way, even outside of its own genre.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so things can there is a point, I think, where something can be, because a lot of music in some ways, especially metal's a good example of this, because metal fundamentally is a music of extremes.
Yeah.
Right? And like anything else, like drugs, alcohol, any sort of vice or whatever, you're trying to get a heavier and heavier hit. Mm-hmm. The rabbit hole one can fall down with metal specifically. And, for the brief 2 years that I was really into metal, I started doing this, is you just start searching for a heavier and heavier hit, right? And you just start getting further and further into just insanity to the point where it's just a guy screaming with white noise in the background about like, you know, like with the most obscene lyrics in the entire world that you can't even hear. They have to look up, you know?
Those are bad. Okay.
But it's, you know, but there is actually, I think, value in it for what kind of artistic work it's doing in its own space. Right. Yeah. Even if I personally find it very alienating.
So I kind of want to ask both of you.
Yeah.
Josh, how do you? It'll bounce back.
Josh is gonna be like, I like all genres except for rap and metal.
No, it's more so this is the thing that I always struggle with is the balance of popularity to like
quality,
popularity and quality.
Yeah.
Josh? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't think it's that uncommon to find something that's popular that's quality. You know, I look at something like probably one of my favorite albums of all time, Beer Bongs and Bentleys, which is actually I'm a huge
Beer Bongs and Bentleys defender. I will defend it.
And it had some tracks on the radio. You know, it's popular.
Yep.
And I think the level of quality, especially kind of compared to that genre and Post Malone's other work, it holds up. So I don't know. That one for me split. Also, White Album by Weezer, but I go down a long White Album rabbit hole about how it's actually a great album.
Well, White Album's pretty good. Yeah. But I would say that for me, I think that popularity is actually its own like matrix. Like it's like
a different thing.
It's its own way of judging stuff because first off, it's very common actually for very talented bands to kind of work their way into the mainstream. Yes. And when they do so, they don't necessarily produce their worst stuff. Then sometimes they produce their very best stuff, you know? And
is there an example of that?
Like, I don't know. A good example would be like, depending on who you ask, like Metallica is a good example where their really early stuff is virtually unlistenable because they didn't know how to mix anything. Yeah. But, you know, like it had a really strong ethos and, you know, it became, you know, before Saint Anger came out, which is, you know, one of the worst record flops in human history. It's a funny story. That whole narrative is a really funny story. But before Saint Anger came out, I mean, they were like in conversation as America's band.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I mean, they were on like Request Live next to like NSYNC, you know, like they'd have all these people calling in and being like, oh, please play this NSYNC track. And Justin Timberlake would be on Request Live and like, oh man, I'm so glad that so many people want to listen to this. And then Lars Ulrich, the drummer, would be sitting down like, hey guys, this is Master of Puppets. So I don't know. It's like stuff like that where, and you know, Chop Suey is a great example. That was probably the best System of a Down ever did, you know, like there is undeniable benefit, I think, in commercial work, and it's a skill, just like any other skill. And like there are great producers who know how to work in that space, and you can, I think, and like sometimes even people will look back on a band. Good example would be like Oasis, where Oasis, you know, was huge, and they were, you know, number one in the world. They basically British invasioned all over again. They did like 2 Beatles records equivalent of sales and popularity, and then of course they made like one of the worst records of all time.
Yeah, but
you know, at the time it was fun to hate Oasis, right? I remember one time I was listening to an Oasis song and Dad called me gay. You know what I mean? And like it was fun to hate Oasis, and like Dad, you know, that was Dad's generation, and so he was like, "Oh, what the hell is this gay shit?" You know? And I was like, "Oh, it's just, you know." He's like, "What are you doing listening to Champagne Supernova?" Right? And so, but you know, in retrospect, like the popularity can kind of blind a lot of people, and in retrospect, we can look back on a record like that and be like, "Oh wow, actually, this was great." And the opposite is true too. Like, good example, Hootie and the Blowfish sold 20 million records with their first album, right?
Somehow.
You know, and I Want to Be With You is like an okay song, but the rest of it, not very good. And their second record didn't crack the top 40, you know, because they had been, you know, they were like, oh, these guys are out of ideas.
Yeah. So
what I often wonder, though, is a band like Coldplay, whose early stuff was a little more, I don't know.
Better?
Alternative, a lot better. Much better. And they fill stadiums, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Yes, yeah.
Right. I mean,
I'm not saying selling out is not impossible.
Right.
I'm just kind of speaking against the narrative that if somebody is selling records, they're selling out.
Is it just that we've all moved on from Coldplay like a decade ago?
No.
Or is that like they haven't really made anything worth listening to, and yet people still go to their shows for some reason.
So I like what Shad is saying because I'm gonna have to think about it. The whole it is its own metric because I need to now work that into it because as pretentious music snobs, once again, it's
Mucus
always
snobs.
Yeah, sorry. It's obviously just the whole sellout anti, bad. Like it's easier to make a pop record than it is to make a good like hip hop record, something like that. But the problem is when it gets to pop, I feel like, and the classic example is MGMT.
Yeah.
Do you know that story?
Yeah, of course.
Do you know the MGMT story?
I know the band, but not the
Yeah.
story.
So they're like 3 big songs, right? Like Kids, Electric Feel.
Yep.
I forget the last one.
Little Dark Age. No, that was in the next record.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were these kids that were in a college dorm room and they were making music and then they got really pissed and they were like, dude, popular music's the easiest stuff to make in the world. And they're like, we could do that in a week. And they made those 3 songs, right, as college kids.
Yeah.
Toured it all over their school, got heard by a record label, blew up. The record label forced them to put it on the album, and it's all they're known for.
So that was a very calculated thing.
Yes, but it was
we're going to hack it.
It was
hack the system.
It was in defiance. It was in like we hate that.
All you got to do is the golden 4 chord structure. Yeah. I mean, like famously, the other good example of this is the Manic Monday for the Bangles, right? It was written, not the Bangles. The Bangles wrote "Walk Like an Egyptian." What am I thinking? I forget who did. Whatever. Manic Monday. Mm-hmm. Prince wrote it in 20 minutes. Somebody asked him to write a song for the label, and he said, "All right, man." Just boom, 20 minutes. And Manic Monday.
So that's the
got written.
That's the whole thing where it's just like popular music automatically not.
Well, so the thing is that's not necessarily true because, like, a good example of this would be if somebody was like a real head about pop music, because those are a type of guy.
Yes.
They would say greatest pop musician of the 21st century, and they'd be like Carly Rae Jepsen, or whatever. And it's like, okay, so like sure, like Carly Rae Jepsen her records are very good.
Very common take.
But the thing is that you can't say that she's the greatest pop musician, even though her genre is pop, because she's not playing the pop game, right? Like you could have that argument about Ariana Grande or about Taylor Swift or etc. because they are pop musicians who understand how pop works. Because it's primarily, it's not even so much about the music as it is being a cultural signifier.
Yeah, and it's about the brand.
Yeah,
right.
And being able to play that game.
Well, here's the thing that I don't like about the whole Carly Rae Jepsen thing, right? Is they say that it's like this is the best, and it's the one album in particular, the one with Call Me Maybe.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, everyone loves it. And like Carly Rae Jepsen's amazing. She's not, that was her peak, right? In popularity. But then they're like, no, she's sustained, but that's not popular.
Yeah.
You know?
But she's still playing the pop sound and kind of having a pop star persona.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let me ask then about Taylor Swift. Because
the Swizz.
Because she is going into like this sort of like folk thing right now.
Yeah.
She's wearing a lot of flannel.
I'm wondering what we can say to like get the Swifties angry so that we can actually get some clout.
Yeah.
He made her famous.
Can we like make fun of
which
the
one
flannels or something?
Yeah.
But so she's changing her brand again, which she's done very successfully in the past.
Yes.
And in fact, she's probably the queen of doing that. And so she's now going for this kind of like this kind of very folksy, understated.
The record's called Midnight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think she's had a couple, right? Where she's like wearing the flannel.
I think it was Evermore was the
Evermore. Yeah.
Evermore was the other folk one.
Yeah, yeah. And so like,
which had the National produce most of the music on there.
really?
Yes.
Yep.
Most of the National produced.
And a Bon Iver song on there also.
Yeah.
Actually did really good. I'm a Bon Iver stan.
I need to listen to that again. So that is, on the surface of it, a rejection of pop.
Yeah.
Or like a turning away from pop. But is she just like predicting where things are going and just kind of slide in that direction?
I won't say that she's going the same way that things are going, because right now, if you're going the same way, it's a little behind the ball at this point. But what people are trying to do is the whisper pop, the Billie Eilish, right?
Yeah,
that's what going the same way is.
So I don't know if that's actually true right now, and we can talk about this in a second. But you can make your point.
What I'm going to say about Taylor is she can do whatever the hell she wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And it does not matter.
And my wife will still listen to her.
Yes, it will be the #1 album.
And I will be expected to buy her the vinyl.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I don't know if I would actually say that, because I think we've kind of
passed.
I think we're in a tilting moment I was actually talking to Jane O'Connor about this yesterday. Because like the whole tone of the Trump administration and popular music was whisper pop. It was like the people were sad.
Yeah.
It was beer bongs and Bentleys.
Yes.
It was Lil Peep and all the Lil Peep derivatives. You know, pop emo's back. MGK went emo for some godforsaken reason. They gave us emo girl.
I'm in love with an emo girl.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I think Josh is the only one in this room who's listened all the way through Mainstream Sellout.
I tried. I tried. I didn't get quite all the way through.
I didn't even listen to that song.
I was on a lawnmower, so like, I had nothing else to do. I'm sitting there. I get like 5 songs in. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm going back to Joe Rogan.
But anyway, like I think there's just this thing where we're all kind of in a holding pattern. I think we're waiting to see what's next. Because there's like people have tried to pinpoint it, and I think have sort of failed. Like a band that I think has kind of hit the nail on the head is I don't know, I bring them up all the time, but Turnstile. I think like figured it out where they're like, oh, it's we're doing like hardcore mixed with dream pop, and like they made best selling record. It's a big deal, but like and I think that's sort of where we're moving. Where I think we like harder music, but I think we're less sad. We're emotive. I think angry is the next step. Okay. I think angry is going to be the next emotion. I think we went through sad and depressed. I think we went through the sad boys, or we went through
all the sad young
what's
men.
His face. I still feel the shadows in my room.
Juice WRLD.
Yeah, I think we went through the Juice WRLD era. I think we lived in a Juice WRLD for a while.
Yeah,
Just a couple Juice boys in the Juice WRLD.
Yeah.
So the whole that's why I kind of say like it's a little behind the ball at this point, because basically what it was Kanye West got depressed and his fiance broke up with him. He made 808s and Heartbreak, right?
Yeah,
and then and then The Weeknd popped off, and then that's just kind of sad boy. But the difference is the pop sphere of it, and it's the whisper pop, and I think whisper will still stay around, maybe not the same emotion behind it as in the depression and is in the sadness, but I think Billie Eilish is Billie, and I will never say a bad thing. I have all 3 of her 4 now. Wait, no. 3. I have all 3 of her vinyls on my wall.
Yeah.
Love Billie Eilish, but I think she's big enough to stay. I think like that whispers.
Oh no, we're gonna pay attention to whatever Billie does for.
Yeah,
we have not heard
years.
the last. I mean, she did the James Bond song. So if you've done a James Bond song,
I don't know. I mean, Adele was the last one to do a James Bond song.
You talking bad about Adele here, buddy?
No, dude. You
ever listen?
It was a good.
She's on
James Bond song. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Skyfall.
Yeah,
it was a good one.
I guess that wasn't the last.
I remember playing Skyfall on the piano in the basement of Simpson Dormitory. Just banging it out, and then one of the RAs, who I will not mention because he still is in my circles, he yelled at me and told me to knock it off. I was like,
dang.
All right, gosh, we're having a really good time, but we actually probably have to thank some folks for being.
Hey guys, you know what time it is?
Yeah. Thank you so much to. We couldn't do this without the support of you guys. First off, at the very top,
you're doing a Heath Ledger Joker there for a second.
But this is sort of how he does it, though. At the top, you got to thank Zach and Amber Strehle, Joe Papalardo, and Sammy Roberts. Thank you guys so much. Anyway, on to some questions. If you donate at the $10 tier, you can ask us questions. It's the AMA tier. 5, you get the Patreon episode. That's a whole extra 30 to 45 to an hour, depending on how much fun we're having of an episode that you get to listen to, and any little bit helps.
Make it a little crazy.
Make it a little crazy. All right, Josh. What are some questions?
Did I think I'd be hearing a Shadrach impression of Dylan tonight? No, I didn't.
I mean, he's not here, so he can't fight back.
And even if he was,
if he was here, he'd be like, oh. He would do that thing where he
Dylan. We're doing you dirty right now.
We love you.
Okay, questions. We've got 3 questions. I think the final one is for Mr. Silas here. So the top one, Joe question.
Yeah.
I feel like didn't we already do this question?
What's the question?
Okay. When I go to the steakhouse, I'm very cheap.
No, I don't think so.
But at McDonald's, I'll buy half the menu. Are there restaurants or shops where you're comfortable spending more than you would at a fancier place?
I'm gonna flip this. I'm gonna flip it and reverse it. I think it's hilarious how you'll go to a restaurant and you feed 2 or 3 people, and the tip, the money after tip and stuff, it's like $50. And you'll sit there and be like, all right, we lunched or dinnered.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, this thing I wanted for 6 months is $15. I can't believe this. You know, you're like on Amazon, you're looking for deals. If it's a book, you're like free PDF, you know, and it's like, well, you spent that much on, you know, like getting a sandwich. It totally boggles my mind. And, you know, and I understand it. And like, you know, you got to eat.
Yeah.
But it's pretty funny. It's like, you're like, oh yeah, let's get wings, you know, let's get wings. And that's of course more than the thing that you were thinking about buying for months at this point, you know.
I honestly don't think there's a restaurant where I do that. If I'm at McDonald's, I'm buying off the dollar menu. I'm there because it's cheap. I want 2 McChickens and a medium fry every time. And so I think at an expensive restaurant, I'm going to set my expectations at a different level and be like, all right, I'm going to spend a little more coin here.
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes. So I don't know. I understand people that do that. I think in college I probably did that more, where we'd all go out to Taco Bell after a fraternity event and we just load up on nasty stuff that would curdle up our bowels later. But yeah.
What about you,
I'm a
Silas?
father
You
now.
have to eat weird and
I got all this
strange
that's-
things.
But
You
I
have-
would say
dietary
more so.
restrictions.
I don't think it's more. I think it's more vibe. I don't think it's one restaurant. I think it's maybe like if my friends all go out together once again, it's more like I'm more willing to, oh yeah, let's do this, and then let's also get dessert here, and then let's also pick up a thing here. This and this and this. I'm more willing to if I'm in a group of people, whereas usually when it's by myself,
I think peer pressure. It's especially tough when it's your wife who's sitting across from the table, and she's like, "You should get an appetizer," and you're like, "I never in my life once got an appetizer." And then you're like, "Yes, honey, we'll get some appetizer," and then of course you enjoy it and it's awesome. But you know, I think actually I was reading somewhere that like our generation is just ordering appetizers like 2 or 3 times more than our parents' generation did.
But are we also ordering the entree?
Yeah,
Are we just going with
no? I think I think it's both. Like if you know, people of course are being very frugal in other ways, but
right.
Like our parents, I think it's like
not owning
sort of like
houses
the
and things
Dave
like that.
Ramsey generation thing, where it's like don't treat yourself ever. I think we're very much treat yourself oriented.
I don't think it was. My parents ever bought an appetizer.
Yeah, I never bought no appetizer,
Never, ever.
no soda,
But
no.
Now that
dessert?
I have kids, if I am out with my wife and kids, I'm not buying appetizers. That's not happening.
Well, they're not going to appreciate it.
That's true. In fact, I can just like throw them over some chips and salsa at El Cerritos, and they're pretty much good for the meal. So
Yeah.
it's free. Yeah.
All right, what's the next question?
Okay, we got a lot. Okay, we're gonna skip that one. That one's dumb. Okay, Sammy, what was your favorite shovelware movie tie-in game? For me, it's hard to beat Return of the King.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. I also played Return of the King. I think
I also played Return of the King.
great game.
It was a great
game. Oh my word.
I have a lot of memories of putting many hours into Shrek 2.
Oh, okay.
And also Shrek 1. The Shrek shovelware games. I remember those were poorly designed, but you know, it's like one of those things where like you have it and so you're going to play the crap out of it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I wasn't one for shovelware, but those two I remember. That was like none of my grandparents ever bought us a video game, and that sounds like the thing you would get if your grandparents bought you a video game.
Yeah.
But
he has a follow-up.
oh, Shrek Super Slam on the Nintendo DS. Also,
That
another
counts.
Shrek-related
Sure.
game.
I think I played the Return of the King. I don't know if it was Return of the King or the Two Towers. Like they made one for each movie, I think. But
What?
We had.
Return of the King.
Was that what that was?
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings.
I think I had it on the
PS2.
Wii. I think I played it on the Wii, which is crazy.
No, I think we had it on the Xbox.
No, we never. No, it was for the PS2. I distinctly remember this. I remember this because
We had it in
we
Roosevelt House.
Dylan and
there.
I did a bunch of stuff, and we got like you can buy one video game thing,
Yeah, sure.
and we bought it. And that was back in the day where if you bought something online, it would take like 2 to 3 weeks to show up.
Oh yeah.
And on its way there, I think Dylan or I like punched our sister, and we were grounded for a month.
You got to take it away.
We grounded for a month, so it arrived on our doorstep, and we stared at it for a month straight. It like arrived like just at the start of the month, and we stared at it.
A month is a long time to be grounded.
Okay,
Yeah.
here's what I'm
It's
gonna say.
it's for the original Xbox
Yes,
as well, but we had it for the PS2.
I remember that game.
yeah,
I remember that game.
Oh, you talking about Lord of the Rings Conquest?
Conquest.
Oh, that is it. So it's funny that Lord of the Rings Conquest has had this weird renaissance where dudes are making like video essays about it. Like, oh, do you know this is real? This existed?
And it was amazing.
It's like sort of like a third-person Battlefield game, but it's Lord of the Rings. Wild game. Wild game. We put a lot of hours into that. Yeah. Man, this is bringing me back.
Yeah.
One last question.
On that theme, Sammy says, some of my favorite games were the old RTSs, Age of Empires, Empire at War, Battle for Middle-earth, etc. I know Age of Empires 4 just came out, but it seems like the genre in general has faded. Any thoughts on this?
I would say that we're all kind of waiting patiently for the next big mover and shaker in the genre. The problem is that, like, it's mechanically so based in its era. Nice. Sorry. It's so based in its era. I mean, Age of Empires 2 is incredibly based, but it's so based in its era that like it's only for the enthusiast at this point. There's nothing exciting about it for somebody who's sort of new to the genre. And so, I mean, they've re-released Age of Empires 25 times. Yeah. StarCraft 2 has been getting consistent updates since it was released back when I was in middle school. You know what I mean? Wow. Like, unless StarCraft 3 comes out, although Blizzard has had a bad track record lately, so they're probably not going to do something like that and like really rakes things and like things go crazy for StarCraft 3. I just don't ever see it really coming back.
Okay.
But that's just me.
One more quick one here. I assume this is for Silas. It says, it's your birthday week. Is this your birthday week?
It is his birthday week.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So this is a two-part question. If you could have a cake, this is assuming you can't have a cake.
Okay. Yep. Because I can't.
If you
Gluten.
This is
just gluten?
Gluten and dairy both.
Well, Rachel's off both of those things, so come over to my house and make you a cake.
Sounds like a great idea.
If you could have a cake and blow out candles, what would you wish for? Also, do you believe you are 21? Because you are not. Therefore, you need to remain sober for your birthday.
Yes, I will. Of course, I will remain sober.
Yeah.
Mother,
that is all I would expect.
It was. Yeah. I will not elaborate further on that because we're on a podcast.
What are you going to be wishing for? That you were 21?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, yeah. I wish I could consume alcohol.
Are you going to be 20 or 19?
20. Buddy.
Dude, yeah. I always forget because your birthday is so early at the start of this fall.
Fair enough.
You're old.
I am a sophomore in college.
Yeah, you're old for your age.
So I'm probably not 18 right now if I'm a sophomore in college. You thought I was turning 19.
Yeah, well, no, because that means you turned 19 at the start of college, which most people were 18 in college for most of the first year.
Which means you are one of the lucky ones, much like Dean Sinclair, who I think was like 21 end of sophomore year, maybe a little.
Yeah, I wasn't 21 until the end of my junior year. That's why I'm saying that.
Yeah,
that's why it's gonna be nice. I know. Yeah. I got a friend, Gabe, who 21 and basically like May 20 something. Yeah. So he's already 20 and he's going to be 21 before his junior year.
No, geez.
Unfortunately, though, that's just after this school year wraps up.
Yes.
So
yeah.
So what are you wishing for?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I don't know where I want to go with that. I could go a couple places, but basically like I'll say just like keeping my head straight and like hard work, basically. You know what I mean? Just like
that's good.
Keeping it like
the grind set. You're gonna wish for the grind set.
I'm wishing for the grind set because basically, I like the position I'm in right now, and I want to stay in the position I'm in.
Good.
In doing that, I'm gonna have to,
enter the grind set.
I'm gonna have to enter the grind set.
Nice.
So we need to wish and blow out some candles in order for that to happen. I guess.
Well, cool.
This guy's already in the library. It's 2 weeks into the semester. I don't think I hit the library until midterms. So I'm impressed.
Yeah, no, I put like 6 hours in the past like 24 hours. So
you're book learning,
grind set.
You're music learning.
I'm just that's the whole.
You're just giving yourself knowledge.
Yeah, basically what happens is when you live in a frat house, what you have to do is you have to take yourself out of that environment.
Yeah.
Definitely if you want to get anything done. And then also it's an excuse to listen to music.
That's
because
true.
like you listen to something that you've never listened to before, you won't sing along to it. You won't be completely distracted by it unless it's it's got to be a little more lo-fi.
Yeah.
But you're introducing yourself to some new stuff. It's pretty cool, and you're trying to understand what this carbon atom's doing in this whole molecule. So yeah.
Can I recommend a band for study listening? Now, maybe this is a popular band.
Do it.
Let me preface this by saying I stumbled across them in a Spotify playlist. Looked into it. I don't even know how to pronounce it because I've never heard it. I've just seen it. So those are all my caveats out of the way. It's called Polyphia.
Oh yeah, Polyphia.
Polyphia? Okay.
Yep.
Super into Polyphia right now.
Yeah. Well, that's a very Zoomer of you.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know,
we can listen to Polyphia's Goat on
yes, dude.
in between
right here.
But actually, if you're Dylan, Silas has been listening to math stuff lately. This is sort of these guys are like these are the Gen Z math guys.
Go to the Red album there. Yeah. That one there. New Levels, New Devils, and then I mean like it's all good.
It's all goated.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember listening to them back in like 2000. When did that album come out? I think it might have been 2018.
Yeah.
I remember listening to that record.
So
in
that one there, because I'm writing a lot for my master's program, which I'm almost done with at the end of this month.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
you'll be a master.
I have to be done by the end of this month.
Master.
Anyway. And so, but the problem with study music, which you may have found, is it's very slow and dreamy and like piano, especially if it's instrumentals, right? Yeah. Piano, there's some violins, there's some like really bad classical stuff in most of these playlists. And so I kept typing in keywords to find like instrumental, fast rock stuff. And then I found Polyphia and I was like, oh, this is great. 'Cause it has enough, it changes enough. And it has enough, variance in the melodies that it kind of keeps you hooked, but there's enough familiarity across the album. It's very tonally consistent that it just kind of keeps you in a vibe.
They're pretty good. Like the guitarist is like many people consider him to be one of the best like technical guitarists right now.
Yeah,
it's funny though. That music, I've always had this joke when it comes to like math stuff. Anything that uses like complicated rhythm structures or is mostly tapping or whatever. Yeah. I can just imagine going to a live show and you've just got dudes with protractors, like looking just like got their hands on their chin, just being like, "Oh yeah, nice, dude." It's like jazz, but like somehow like nerdier.
Yeah.
So they're pretty good.
There's a lot of theory in there that would be fun to break down, but I'm busy doing other things. So
that's for somebody with a music degree.
Yeah, not us.
Weren't you working towards a minor for a while?
I have everything. I'm one class short of a music minor at Hillsdale College, so ask me anything. I mean, don't, because I'm one class short.
What's a diminished chord?
I can tell you that. You take the third and the fifth, and you drop them down a half step.
Okay, there we go.
Chord. Look at that.
All right. So.
I didn't know anything. I'm not a big. I want it. I don't know. I'll just mess around in GarageBand.
I don't know, man. Like, what if like like potentially like someone say like for like no reason at all was to like. Get you a subscription to Ableton and like a MIDI keyboard,
dude.
Like,
okay.
I think I have a MIDI keyboard in my basement.
Well, I'm just saying, what would that result in?
Some fire ass beats.
Really?
Are
you gonna put that in writing?
Yeah, I know. I'll. If you give me a quota, I'll smack the quota. Even like I'll go on it.
Okay, then I'm gonna reveal your birthday present to you right now.
I'm assuming.
I
got
you an Ableton subscription.
That's
and a MIDI
awesome,
keyboard,
dude. So. Let's go.
That's a great gift.
But the thing is that I did it with the full assumption, and this is a democratized thing.
Yes.
This is a gift from me, Dylan, Isabel, and Abby.
It's almost a communist.
All those things are kind of expensive, but that you actually have a quota.
Oh.
You have a responsibility. I need 5 of the beats in the world in at least in a 2 weeks time.
2 weeks?
So, no, you got more time than that. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, the first ones don't even.
And if you want to do it back and forth, because I actually also have access to that Ableton subscription, but also access to a pro subscription through some of my work. Mm-hmm. And if you want to
collab,
if you want to go back and forth on things, I'm not saying feat Shadrach Strehle. I'm saying, if you need someone to match you, then I'd be happy to try and do that.
Let's do it.
I gotta admit that I'm probably gonna go a little crazier with it because I was just recently introduced to. There's this YouTuber that I watch who's like obsessed with like soundtracking and like 90s video game music, and his thing is he's like real based composers do for like beats and stuff do everything by ear. They've never read a single sheet of music. And you listen to some stuff and it's wild. So I was thinking it'd be like a fun exercise to try and do that. But anyway, so happy birthday.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
That's an
Shadrach,
awesome gift.
Dylan, Abby, Isabel.
Yeah. So the MIDI keyboard is in the mail right now.
That's
so.
awesome.
But I will get you the login information for Ableton, and then
Let's go.
I just hope your computer can run it.
Yeah, that might be.
I
long as
ran
you don't have too many
Ableton
tracks.
on a garbage Acer laptop in college that I would actually run live shows on. So
That's true.
A couple of the wine boxes things, I'd have like my keyboard and everything. At one point, I did a MIDI keyboard into an iPad Mini out to the sound system. I had the most jank keyboard rig going on, but it was fun. I had a good time.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that bombshell.
Look at that.
Yeah, which, who knows? Maybe we'll, in some years' time, hopefully years, be featuring some Silas Strehle originals. Oh, you have any ideas for your
I'm gonna make it out. Oh, tag? I need a tag.
You need a tag, dude.
You have to be a little something.
right.
I did some stuff with Joel Calvert, and we went by Totem Game. Totem Game.
Got Totem on the track, and then just drop the beat.
Not
the hip hop tag.
No, it was like Totem hip hop tag, totally different thing.
Okay.
I'm saying, but you need an alias first.
Yeah. No, but hip hop tag. You got to throw a hip hop tag into some of your lo-fi beats. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Totem on the track, and then
Totem on the track. Yeah, hit him with it. Yeah, we made the wildest song. I showed it to Garrett, and he was like, "This is terrible." He told me it was terrible, and I was like, "No, it's like 100 gex, but somehow worse." But yeah. Okay, but yeah, no. Well, start thinking about your your name.
I'll
and
start brainstorming.
We'll start working. So I know we didn't introduce his whale, but I thought it'd be fun to talk about.
Yeah, no, that's great.
The music industry and music. We have a lot more to talk about. I'm sure we can keep talking about that stuff in the Patreon. So
I got some ideas.
If you wanna hop into the Patreon, that's gonna be hop on the Patreon. If you like Silas particularly, you want to just donate for the 1 month, go right ahead.
And who doesn't?
Hear me talk about drill, because I think that's where I'm going with it.
Oh, drill. Okay, let's talk about drill.
We're gonna talk about drill in a second here, buddy.
As not the famous tweeter.
Never mind. I'm not interested now.
The British music genre.
Okay. I was like, hey,
no,
Shad, are we going to talk about drill tweets? Let's do it.
Shad, you're misappropriating right there.
Oh, a different drill?
No,
the
I'm
British
saying
drill?
British. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
All right, we'll talk about the etymology and nature of drill and why so many guys are stabbing each other in Britain right now. So
There you go.
All right, guys, peace out.
How about Lil Shad?